with the new demand brought about by the pandemic to support our continental drive to improve access to education and also improve equality. I hope that this meeting will come up with a lot of implementable solutions that will support stakeholders and decision makers to take the right course of action. Let me take this opportunity to also invite you all to the Association of African Universities upcoming General Conference. The call for papers is still out. Please visit the AAU website and submit a paper. I wish you all well. Please engage and support the meeting with your spirit and experience. I welcome you all. Have a great conference. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Prof. Ehile. Rennie Bach, NODENET.
Thank you all for inviting me to give an address to this great conference. I hope you're all safe. One thing that we experience in the Nordic, and I think we have all over the world, is that we have been, by COVID-19, forced 10 years ahead in digitalization. I think we also have an obligation to follow up on that as NRENs. This is probably an even bigger differentiator now for most people than only the network. So I hope that we also can utilize this to bring digitization in education and research into the far corners of the planet, also in Africa, Asia, and elsewhere. I think we have had some very valuable lessons during the last year. And I think, unfortunately, it will still take a while before we get some kind of normalcy back in that. I hope that you will have a good conference. NODENET is very willing to help and work everybody with our experience, and I hope we can make this world a better and more educated place on the planet. Please all stay safe and hope to see you hopefully in 2022. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, CEO of NODENET, Rennie Bach. We have Dr. Matthews Ntumbuka, Dr. Matthews Ntumbuka of the UA, that is Ubuntu Net Alliance, are partners in the implementation of the Africa Connect 3 project.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and also honorable ministers and all colleagues from the different regional RENs and NRENs. Please receive warm greetings from Ubuntu Net Alliance Secretariat in Lilongwe, Malawi, and from our technical team in Kampala, Uganda, and indeed from the rest of our 17 NREN members from Eastern and Southern Africa. Ubuntu Net Alliance values partnership with our sister regional education networks in Africa, namely NREN and WACREN in this case, not only because we are implementing partners of the same Africa Connect project, which my brother Bubakar referred to, but because we also share a common vision for research and education networking across Africa. On behalf of our chairman of Ubuntu Net Alliance, Professor Stephen Simukanga, our board of trustees and CEOs of all NREN members, I'd like to extend congratulations to my brother, Dr. Bubakar Barry, and the entire WACREN team for the resilience shown in organizing and holding this conference amid the difficult landscape that the world is currently going through. WACREN is an ever-present partner of Ubuntu Net Alliance, and I'd like to underline our commitment to continue working together to promote research and education networking across Africa. Ubuntu Net Alliance and WACREN have a working relationship in many thematic areas, including job creation for the youth, poverty alleviation, women empowerment, and the infrastructure development under the Africa Connect 3 project, which we also work together with the GIANT. It is the wish of the Alliance to fulfill these obligations through a mutually inclusive and beneficial partnership with WACREN. I'd like to wish WACREN a great conference and all participants insightful deliberations that are capable of finding solutions to our common problems. Thank you all. Enjoy.
Thank you. ASREN, Dr. Youssef Tolman is the Managing Director.
Hello, everybody. because no time for the protocol, Your Excellencies, all of you, dear NE, special to NE Quainer, my friend that I didn't see you for the last 2 years. Boubacar, of course, CEO of WACREN, WACREN team and WACREN community and all participants. It has been 2 years since we last met, and I'm really missing you all, especially your warm welcome and your smiles. I like the African smiles all the time. You are all the time smiling. I like that. Let me firstly thank Boubacar and WACREN community for inviting me to give this short goodwill message, and to congratulate you for such wonderful, rich, and well-organized event. Let me secondly send you our sincere greetings from ASREN team, ASREN members, ASREN community, wishing you all successful and fruitful conference.
Thank you.
I used to be with you on face-to-face basis every year, and also with the Ubuntu Net Alliance to celebrate our work all together as not only as individual research and education networks, but also as a family of regional research and education networks. I recall that in every meeting I meet with you, and we look like one family, ASREN, WACREN, Ubuntu Net Alliance, in the support of our partners around the world. So I would like to thank you all. So I emphasize on the role of AFRIN, and now it's family, and it's in the process of developing world services, as just Boubacar said. The update that Boubacar just shared is excellent milestone to reach the communities and to serve them as much as we can. For Under Africa Connect 3, also we work as a family, and it is a demonstration of our the way of doing work together. So, for example, some regional networks are leading something on behalf of the community, on behalf of all the family. For example, WACREN is leading the LibSense and the women engagement on behalf of all of us. At the continental level, the same for Ubuntu Net Alliance are leading some activities in security and more. ASREN is leading user engagement and so on. So we represent one of us. We represent each other all the time.
Thank you.
Further to this, every year we talk about the challenges. Every year we talk about the challenges, and even the COVID-19 added more challenges. But given these challenges, we are doing good achievement. I share. I comment on what Boubacar said, which are really achievements. It's also now, I believe.
Thank you, sir.
Sorry?
Thank you, sir. Please, can you wrap up, please? Sorry.
It's done. It's done. My message is now we need to collaborate. That we have provided good infrastructure, good tools, good services. So I share the message. Africa is collaborating now. Africa is collaborating. Africa is collaborating. Thank you.
Right, thank you, sir. Now to France, Renate, Mrs. Sabine Yaomi, Strategy Director.
Mesdames les ministres, mesdames et messieurs, en vos rangs, grades et qualités, tout protocole respecté, honorables invités, mesdames et messieurs, j'ai l'honneur de représenter ici Renater en présence de monsieur Éric Durieux, son directeur, qui est également parmi nous. C'est ainsi avec un grand plaisir que Renater, qui est le réseau français pour l'enseignement et la recherche, participera une nouvelle fois à la conférence de notre partenaire WACREN. Pandémie oblige, nous sommes tous contraints à un échange virtuel, mais nous espérons bien qu'une prochaine édition nous permettra de venir à Cotonou pour y rencontrer nos collègues de l'Agence pour le développement du numérique et pour le réseau de la recherche qui sont associés à l'organisation de cet événement. La thématique de la semaine, qui est transformation numérique pour le développement, retiendra toute l'attention de Renater, car ses membres et ses utilisateurs sont engagés dans de nombreuses collaborations scientifiques avec l'Afrique de l'Ouest et du Centre. L'impact sur les infrastructures, les applications et les services est ainsi au cœur de votre sujet. Nul doute que WACREN, qui est un acteur incontournable et fédérateur de toute votre communauté en Afrique de l'Ouest et du Centre, saura guider les évolutions attendues afin de relever ensemble les défis de l'éducation en Afrique, ceux de la coopération scientifique internationale et également ceux de la francophonie. Cher Dr Barry, And dear family, comme vient de le dire Youssef, tous nos vœux de succès pour cette édition en ligne de la conférence WACREN. Merci.
Thank you very much, Madam. Now we hear from our partners from Europe, Giant, represented by the CEO, Mr. Eric Huser.
Thank you very much. Dear Honorable Excellencies, colleagues, friends, dear Boubacar and other members of WACREN, it's my great honor to address all of you attending the WACREN 21 conference. GIAN delivers networks and services to national research and education networks in Europe and connects Europe to the rest of the world. And we are proud that for many years now, WACREN and GIAN have been partners. Some initial support took place under Africa Connect, and since 2015, WACREN has been a partner in Africa Connect 2 and Africa Connect 3. Thanks to the generous help of the European Union, we have together connected the WACREN backbone and the global RNE network, NRENs in Ghana, Nigeria, and Togo. And we should, in the coming weeks, connect, hopefully, Burkina Faso, Côte d'Ivoire, and Benin. Last year, when the conference was cancelled, I was very hopeful that this year I would be with you in Cotonou, but instead, as you can see behind me, I'm in my house. And while I admire the capacity of WACREN to organize a fully online conference, I do miss the opportunity to meet all of you in person. The COVID-19 pandemic has illustrated more than ever the necessity to work together globally. First and foremost, for the international researchers that are trying to find solutions to the current crisis, but also to assure that we can replace the international exchange that makes education and research transcend borders, cultures, and continents. We look forward to develop our partnership even further and together to help battle the current crisis with our infrastructures and services and to make sure these are suitable to address the future new normal. I look forward to learn during this conference what that new normal will look like. I wish you all a very good conference with many interactions. Stay safe, and I hope to see you all in real life as soon as possible.
We hope to see you too, sir. Now we're going to hear from our gold sponsors. Gold sponsor, Main One. The CEO, Mrs. Funky Opeke, has a message to share. Apologies once again. We're preparing to play the video again.
Good morning, distinguished personalities, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Funke Opeke, and I am the CEO of Main One. It gives me great pleasure to welcome you this morning as a gold sponsor to the 6th WACREN conference. Main One has had the privilege of a long-standing partnership with WACREN, and as if by design, our organizations were launched in the same year, 2010. Since then, Main One has made significant investments in digital infrastructure across West Africa, and we're proud to have partnered with WACREN to bring improved access to the internet and digital technologies to research and educational communities across our region. We started well. However, the COVID pandemic over the past year has shown us how much more work that we still have to do in our region. It is with that backdrop that I welcome you all to this conference and hope that this platform will provide us the opportunity to deliberate on the further digital developments required to empower our research and educational communities in our region and act with the urgency that is called for at a time like this. I wish you all successful deliberations and a most productive conference. Thank you.
Thank you too, Madam. All right, so now we will be hearing from the European Commission. And the European Commission is being represented by the head of unit, West Africa, Directorate General, International Partnerships, European Commission. We hear from Ms. Francesca Di Maro.
Thank you very much. Bonjour, mesdames et messieurs, mesdames les ministres de la République du Bénin, et madame la commissaire aux ressources humaines, à la science et à la technologie de la Commission de l'Union africaine. Et comme les autres, pour aller plus vite, donc tout protocole respecté, donc chers participants. Donc je suis ravie d'être avec vous ce matin. Je souhaite remercier WACREN de m'avoir conviée à prendre la parole. À l'occasion de cette conférence annuelle qui, comme on l'a bien dit, est entièrement virtuelle en raison de la pandémie de Covid. Comme l'a dit aussi M. Boubacar, cela aurait été vraiment un grand plaisir d'être avec vous au Bénin pour cet événement, mais ce n'est pas possible. Mais merci aux autorités du Bénin pour être nos hôtes virtuels. Donc, c'est un concept nouveau. Nous nous habituons de plus en plus à ce concept. Et en fait, voilà, ça a fait 1 an que nous sommes en télétravail. Aujourd'hui, c'est notre anniversaire ici à la Commission. Donc, le thème de la conférence, la transformation numérique pour le développement, illustre le fait que l'usage des outils numériques s'est étendu à la quasi-totalité des aspects de la vie quotidienne, alors qu'ils étaient encore récemment cantonnés à certains secteurs précis. Il est évident que la pandémie, dont nous espérons sortir rapidement, a fortement accéléré cette mutation. Elle a également mis en évidence l'impact négatif de la fracture digitale, notamment en termes d'inégalité. Ça a été très clair pendant la pandémie. Et ce phénomène a donc permis d'amorcer un débat sur les conditions nécessaires pour une transformation numérique juste, durable et au service des personnes avec un accès équitable. Et c'est exactement ce que la Commission européenne essaie de faire. Et je voudrais vraiment souligner que la transformation numérique fait partie des grandes priorités que s'est fixée la nouvelle Commission européenne pour son mandat, qui va de 2019 à 2024. Et la semaine dernière, la Commission a inauguré la décennie numérique en présentant sa vision autour de 4 grands axes: les compétences, les infrastructures numériques sûres et durables, la numérisation des services publics et la transformation numérique des entreprises. Évidemment, tout ceci est en ligne avec la stratégie de transformation numérique pour l'Afrique de l'Union africaine. Donc, nous sommes totalement alignés, qui va contribuer à l'agenda 2063 pour dynamiser la croissance économique et améliorer la vie des populations. Et dans ce contexte, je suis heureuse de prendre la parole aujourd'hui pour souligner le soutien que l'Union européenne apporte au réseau d'éducation et de recherche africain qui joue un rôle essentiel dans la transformation numérique de l'éducation et de la recherche, notamment en Afrique de l'Ouest. Et outre la connexion haut débit qu'ils fournissent à leur institution, ils garantissent aux utilisateurs des services et des ressources dédiées. Elles peuvent donc peuvent déployer des plateformes pédagogiques, d'apprentissage, donc tout ce que maintenant nous appelons le e-learning, ou donner un accès à distance à des ressources pédagogiques. Et dans le domaine de la recherche, les NRENs peuvent héberger des portails de revues scientifiques, mettre en place des réseaux virtuels et tout ce que vous faites donc. Ils ont donc un rôle de premier plan dans la mutualisation des ressources et dans le soutien aux activités de collaboration internationale. Tous ces outils dont l'intérêt a été révélé par la crise sanitaire et la fermeture des universités donc primordial pour garantir un accès à distance à des contenus et outils de qualité. Donc, à travers le programme Africa Connect, la Commission européenne est heureuse d'apporter son appui au réseau d'éducation et de recherche africain, WACREN, et ses organisations sœurs dont nous avons entendu parler tout à l'heure. En Afrique de l'Ouest, grâce à cet appui, le réseau national à haut débit s'étend progressivement. Donc, on a déjà entendu, il interconnecte déjà le Ghana, le Nigeria et puisque nous sommes virtuellement au Bénin. Nous espérons vivement, mesdames les ministres, qu'il puisse en être de même pour le Bénin très bientôt, afin de pouvoir rejoindre cette communauté de recherche. Cette connexion au réseau serait dans la droite ligne de l'ambition numérique de votre gouvernement, comme a été dit au début, dont nous tenons à louer les réformes récemment entamées sur le plan législatif et réglementaire. Nous sommes déjà en fait un partenaire au Bénin dans le domaine avec un projet qui s'appelle DigiBoost de presque 3 millions d'euros, qui a pour objectif de renforcer l'écosystème numérique. Et nous continuerons à l'être dans le cadre de notre nouvelle programmation qui va de 2021 à 2027 et qui devrait voir la digitalisation comme thématique transversale, y compris dans le domaine de l'enseignement et de la formation professionnelle et les autres secteurs également. Le numérique est essentiel pour renforcer le capital humain et moderniser l'économie et ainsi renforcer la compétitivité. Outre son appui au NREN, l'Union européenne œuvre également dans le cadre d'autres projets afin de promouvoir un écosystème favorable au développement inclusif des outils numériques. Dans le cadre du projet PRIDA, c'est peut-être, je ne sais pas si la traduction fonctionne. Donc, dans le cadre du projet PRIDA, presque 10 millions d'euros, nous travaillons avec l'Union africaine et l'Union internationale des télécommunications pour permettre l'accès à une connectivité haut débit abordable sur l'ensemble du continent et également pour harmoniser les cadres politiques, juridiques et réglementaires. En partenariat avec la BAD, nous sommes également engagés dans les projets d'infrastructures numériques tels que les dorsales transsahariennes ou d'Afrique centrale de fibre optique. Pour conclure, mesdames et messieurs, je souhaitais juste vous confirmer que dans les années à venir, l'Union européenne sera de plus en plus active dans ces secteurs. Comme je vous l'ai dit, la digitalisation est une priorité très importante pour la Commission européenne. Et afin d'œuvrer de manière plus cohérente, visible et efficace, la Commission européenne, les pays et le secteur privé européen ont décidé de travailler ensemble dans ce que nous appelons désormais le D4D Hub, donc Digital for Development Hub. Et par ce biais, nous proposerons des activités conjointes avec un impact accru afin d'accompagner nos partenaires africains. Je vous remercie pour votre attention et vous souhaite plein succès pour une conférence qui s'annonce très intéressante et enrichissante. Merci.
Merci. Merci Dimaro, merci European Commission.
La Commission européenne. Excusez-moi, on avait quelques problèmes techniques.
Africa Connect 3 has a vision.
Africa Connect 3 a une vision.
Africa Connect 3 has a vision. A vision to connect Africa to a world of vast knowledge through high-speed, reliable connectivity. A vision to connect Africa to a world of unique solutions through digital technologies. A vision to connect Africa to a world of unlimited opportunities and possibilities through research and education collaborations. A vision that will translate into new treatments for diseases, apt solutions to environmental problems, creating and openly sharing knowledge, train staff for high performance, employable skills for the job market, digital inclusiveness and participation, a generation of innovative solution providers. Africa Connect 3 is a shared vision, a shared commitment, a shared action, and a shared impact.
Time now for the opening address. The Minister of Digital Economy, Benin, Mrs. Aurélie Adam Soulé, will give us the opening address. Okay, right, so we want to move to another minister, but this one is in charge of higher education, and Scientific Research, Mrs. Eleonore Yai Ladekan.
Bonjour, j'espère que vous m'entendez. Ok,
yes, we can hear
d'accord.
you.
Bonjour, je voudrais déjà présenter les excuses de ma collègue ministre du numérique et de la digitalisation. Elle va certainement se connecter d'ici là. On a quelques difficultés de connexion, mais nous avons quand même pris les dispositions pour qu'en cas de difficulté, nos collaborateurs qui sont les services bien avertis, qui sont connectés, puissent réellement prendre donc le relais. C'est donc en son nom que je voudrais également souhaiter la bienvenue à tous les participants et saluer les autres personnalités ici. Je n'ai pas eu le temps d'avoir la liste, mais je sais que les commissaires Union européenne, l'Agence française de développement, et les sponsors, les PTF, monsieur le directeur donc général, monsieur Paris, monsieur le président du conseil d'administration, toutes les personnalités, tous les participants, je voudrais vous souhaiter donc la bienvenue en ligne. On aurait bien voulu que ce soit physiquement depuis l'année dernière, mais cette année non plus, on n'a pas pu le faire. Et le fait déjà de pouvoir se voir en ligne et de se parler est une grande chose. Je voudrais exprimer donc ma joie d'être donc connecté avec vous et de partager cette importance que revêt donc le thème donc de cette rencontre et souhaiter à tous les participants une très bonne rencontre. Au Bénin, la pandémie est venue accélérer ce que nous avons déjà prévu de faire. Et en ce sens que dans l'éducation, la recherche, nous avons été fortement perturbés. Et la conférence actuelle montre donc l'opportunité de faire en sorte que le numérique, la digitalisation soient renforcés dans nos process. Dans le secteur de l'éducation, c'est grâce justement au numérique que nous avons pu finaliser l'année dernière. Sinon, imaginez près de 110 000 étudiants qui n'auraient pas pu finir leur formation. Ça va être un gâchis. Ces étudiants qui ont fini l'année dernière sont déjà en train de capter d'autres opportunités. Et c'est dans ce sens que la plateforme de e-learning avait été donc mise en place et expérimentée pour la première fois à grande échelle au niveau de nos universités. Il y a souvent quelques établissements qui avaient l'habitude déjà de le faire, mais cette pandémie a permis donc de mettre cette plateforme. Et ça, c'est le gouvernement qui a mis cela à la disposition des universités publiques et privées. Et cela a impacté aussi bien le public que le privé à hauteur de près de 130 millions à 130 000 étudiants. Et en dehors de cela également, lorsque nous regardons l'organisation de notre baccalauréat, c'est un examen d'entrée à l'université. Heureusement, c'est parce qu'il y a eu la plateforme, mon résultat, e-résultat, et que nous avons également pu organiser les examens et surtout délibérer le baccalauréat. C'est ce qui a permis à nos étudiants de commencer donc leur scolarisation cette année. Les nouveaux bacheliers sont nombreux, ils sont près de 35 000 donc cette année qui sont venus s'ajouter à ceux qui étaient là. Ça montre que nous avons beaucoup de rôles à jouer dans la facilitation de cette communication dans le système éducatif. Et lorsque nous parlons de projet de digitalisation, le projet Herbert est donc piloté par la Direction générale du numérique au Bénin, eh bien, a permis également de renforcer le niveau de connexion. Parce qu'une chose est de mettre la plateforme à la disposition des étudiants, des enseignants, une autre chose est de les former une autre chose est de faciliter la connexion. Et là, la connexion n'était pas du tout facile. Le projet Herbert a permis donc de connecter une dizaine donc, de campus et a facilité donc cette communication. C'est vrai, avec l'annonce de M. Barry, qui est que depuis que nous sommes entrés en 2019, donc dans le Conseil des pays qui sont membres de WACREN, avec cette information de M. Barry, nous pensons avoir tout un boulevard pour permettre à nos universités de pouvoir justement tisser les relations en matière d'éducation, en matière de recherche. La pandémie qui est arrivée a permis de mettre ensemble les savoir-faire et je pense bien que l'occasion nous sera donnée d'échanger autour de cela. Je voudrais vous souhaiter la bienvenue, souhaiter une très belle rencontre et dire que le Bénin et toutes les structures sont donc engagées à renforcer leur collaboration dans WACREN. Merci à tous. Bonne donc, conférence à tous. Plein succès à tous. Je vous remercie.
Merci, madame. Merci. Okay, so
Ceci est Main One.
all right, ladies and gentlemen, we are ready to hear the keynote address from the Commissioner of Human Resources, Science and Technology of the African Union Commission. I'm talking about Her Excellency, Professor Sarah Anyan Agbo. The floor is yours, madam.
Thank you very much, Effa. Your name sounds Cameroonian, but Aposa sounds Ghanaian. So I'm sure either you got that name from Cameroon or somewhere. Good morning. Good morning, Dr. Boubacar Bari, the CEO of WACREN, my sister, Her Excellency, Mrs. Eleanor Yayi Ladekan, the Minister of Higher Education and Scientific Research of Benin. Sincere gratitude for sharing your best practices. Mr. Serge Abjovi, the DG ADN, Ms. Francisca Dimona, the DG for International Partnership of the European Union Commission, Professor Etienne Ehile, the AAU Executive Secretary, and of course, Mr. Rene Boch of Nodunet. Sincere gratitude to all the education, research, digital stakeholders that have joined us. And then distinguished participants, I feel honored to be invited for this meeting, and please accept greetings from His Excellency, Dr. Musa Faki Mahamat, the re-elected chairperson of the African Union Commission. It is with great delight that I'm giving this keynote address at the WACREN 2021 conference with the theme, Digital Transformation for Development. And my emphasis will be on the African Union vision on digital transformation on the continent, especially in the education and research fields, just as I've listened to various participants speaking on these themes. The economic opportunities of digital transformation in virtually every sector and the continent's youthful population structure propel Africa to make digitally enabled socio-economic development a high priority, particularly in these unprecedented times of COVID-19 pandemic. We all know that innovations and digitalization are stimulating job creation and contributing to addressing poverty, reducing inequality, facilitating the delivery of goods and services, and contributing to the achievement of Agenda 2063 and the Sustainable Development Goals. It was timely, therefore, that the February 2020 summit adopted Africa's digital transformation strategy for the next decade, that is 2020 to 2030. The digital transformation strategy's vision is to have an integrated and inclusive digital society and economy in Africa that improves the quality of life of Africa's citizens, strengthen the existing economic sector, enable its diversification and development, and ensure continental ownership with Africa as a producer and not only a consumer in the global economy. It is linked and aligned to Agenda 2063 aspirations. Agenda 2063 is that vision of an integrated, prosperous, and peaceful Africa driven by its own competent and skilled citizens able to play in the global arena. And that agenda has 7 visions. And it is important to always remember that 2063 agenda came before the 2030 agenda. The digital transformation strategy for Africa is comprehensive and has outlined policy recommendations and proposed actions. The implementation of DTS over a period of 10 years will be achieved through a series of various digital initiatives, programs, projects, and activities undertaken at national, regional, and continental levels. Significantly, the digital agenda of the African Union for the next decade will therefore be premised on the digital transformation strategy, which I've been calling the DTS, that will guide a common, coordinated digitalization agenda to enhance synergies and avoid duplication of effort. The common strategy recognizes the diversity of contexts and situations for African Union member states and acknowledges the likelihood of variable speeds and multiple pathways towards common goals. The DTS has identified digital education as one of its critical sectors whose digitalization is vital to ensure that benefits of digital transformation reach the general population. It is within this context that both the departments of infrastructure and energy and that of education, science and technology are working on the development of the digital education implementation strategy. The objective of the strategy is to transform Africa's education systems to improve access and inclusion, quality and relevance of education, and learning to make a meaningful and substantive contribution to Africa's development as articulated in the blueprint of the Africa We Want, commonly called Agenda 2063. The strategy will, among others, aim at addressing key bottlenecks in adopting and scaling up the digitization of Africa's education systems, including connectivity, content, pedagogy, cost of data, access to devices, and teaching, management, and maintenance capacity. It will explore the use of no-tech, low-tech, and high-tech methods in different contexts and offer practical steps and guidance for digitization in African Union member states. Of course, there are issues of no-tech, low-tech, and high-tech in different states of the African continent. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, Excellency, the education sector is critical in helping to prepare the workforce and contribute towards ensuring that digital transformation is inclusive and does not lead to inequalities. In addition, there is a unique opportunity to transform the delivery of education itself. The spread of the internet and mobile broadband, digital platforms, digital content, and digital tools allows the education sector in Africa to make use of technology to expand access, improve quality, link up with international education and research networks, and strengthen management of the sector. Education technology is also being used to expand access to high-level unreached populations. This is especially important for Africa, where a significant number of young people still do not complete primary and secondary schooling. As most secondary school leavers reach the portals of traditional universities and tertiary education institutions, policymakers are forced to often expand access with significantly lower quality. Digital technologies, especially through online learning, is expanding access to post-secondary education, connecting Africa's universities, skills training institutions, and secondary schools with broadband internet is essential if the continent is to realize the potential of digital technologies in education. Furthermore, all young people need to acquire digital skills for the future of work at the basic and intermediate levels if they are to use technology. Integration of digital skills training into the core curriculum of formal education courses for all learners, irrespective of their specialization, is essential. Another major consideration is to equip teachers with the knowledge, skills, and confidence to use technology to improve their own professional competence and learning of their students. If technology is to change teaching, teachers must actively espouse on it. This is why the ministers of education at the specialized technical committee meeting on a ministerial meeting took certain decisions in order to make sure that we rewrite the education sector. And we adopted the DOTSS, connecting the dots, DOTSS, where D stands for digitalization, O for online learning, T for teacher training professional, because the teachers need to be trained on how to deliver online classes, and then S for safety online and safety offline, and S for skills, the skills and the competencies that the students need to get. So as a continent, the ministers of education adopted this this DOTSS as one of the ways in which we can move education forward in 2019. And in 2020, COVID came and even make it very relevant. That is why I applaud the theme of this conference, Digital Transformation for Development, as very, very pertinent and coming at the very right time. The COVID-19 pandemic has really exposed our deficiencies in infrastructure and capabilities. But I'm also very happy that someone, when speaking, spoke about the positive aspect of the COVID-19, making us to do business as unusual and facing the realities of financing and infrastructures needed for sustainability and sustainable development. It also widened the scope of our needs and utilization of digital technologies. Therefore, digital technology is not an option. It is very important and necessary. COVID-19 is a game changer in many aspects. It has taught us that it is practically impossible to live without digital technology, as most of the solution to COVID-19 is based on restrictions, but can be bridged through digital technologies in businesses, digital technologies in healthcare, digital technologies in education, and digital technologies in public services. We forcefully embrace the use of digital technologies on an unprecedented scale to keep people safe, as well as to ensure continuity of general life, education, and businesses. Traffic has shifted from roads onto digital networks, making high-speed and reliable internet connections a vital lifeline. Education, payments, work from home, meetings are just some of the ways we're using the internet and electronic transactions. The implementation of the digital transformation strategy for Africa will therefore be important both during and post-pandemic periods. In the African Union Commission, our work pattern has changed and adopted the new normal where 90% of our meetings are based online now. Our new approach in our program and projects are focused on ameliorating the impact of COVID-19 in education, health, socio-economic, and other development aspects of the continent. The first African Scientific Research Innovation Council statement mobilized over 250 African scientists in over 40 universities and research institutions to work on combating the COVID-19. While their output and achievements are numerous to mention here, but can be found on ASTRIC and the African Union websites. In conclusion, I would therefore like to seize this opportunity to commend the Department of Infrastructure and Energy for the development of the digital transformation strategy for Africa and its collaboration and support in the recently initiated process to develop the digital education implementation strategy for the continent. In the same vein, I invite WACREN to contribute to the upcoming process to develop the digital education implementation strategy. Education is indeed a human right that contributes to social inclusion, and we all need especially to strengthen women and girls' education to contribute to a successful decade of women's financial and economic inclusion. I agree that a lot can be done in the cyberspace, but we need to find ways of working in localized communities. Keeping ourselves in the community and in the cloud has become the norm since COVID-19. I want to commend WACREN, that is the West plus Central African joining forces for knowledge exchange technology libraries and national research and education networks in West and Central Africa to make scientific data more accessible. For me, WACREN network represents a major milestone for the development of high-capacity internet networks for research and education across Africa, supported by the African Connect 2 project. I equally want to say sincere gratitude to the organizers, WACREN and the Benin Research and Education Network, for putting this conference together. Indeed, digital transformation for development is now a necessity that we must work for and that we must promote. Finally, I will extend My appreciation to WACREN for inviting me to this important meeting, and I wish you all a fruitful deliberations. Thank you.
Thank you to Your Excellency Prof. Anyan Abo. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Conference together. Digital transformation for development. Digital transformation is now a necessity. Is now a necessity that we must work for. Finally, I will extend. Finally. I wish you all a fruitful deliberations.
Thank you to Your Excellency Prof. Thank you to Your Excellency Prof. Thank you very much. Abo.
Thank you. Conference together. Digital transformation for development. Digital transformation is now a necessity.
All right, so our sincere apologies for that mix-up. We are very sorry for that. Okay, so we want to move into a panel discussion session, and I'll hand over now to Professor Nina Kukweno, the board chair of WACREN, to take over.
Well, thank you very much. I'm pleased to welcome you to the high-level panel on digital transformation and development. Just for context, I'm a professor of computer science and an internet pioneer, and I'll moderate the session. I'll make a few comments, then introduce my panelists and pose a question. Panelists will make opening remarks, and if time permits, we'll follow on questions with additional questions and possibly engage the audience. We are fortunate to have with us very high-level and experienced contributors to share their thoughts on the subject. As you know, this is a very large subject in the sense that there are many aspects involved. There are different priorities for different countries. Being late adopters of technology may seem simple on the surface, but it can be complex and technical. It is very interdisciplinary and intertwined with science, engineering, law, economics, business, industry, policy, education, yet it improves every field of life. So what digital transformation and what transformation and what aspirations and what development paradigm are we seeking? To help us gain insight on digital transformation for development, we are honored to have a distinguished four-member panel with us. We have Mrs. Aurélie Adam Soule, Minister of Digital Economy, Benin, and we have Mrs. Eleonore Yayi Ladikan, Minister of Higher Education and Scientific Research, Benin. His Excellency Sarah Anyang Agbo, Commissioner HRST, African Union Commission, and Professor Suleiman E. Bogoro, Executive Secretary, Tertiary Education Trust Fund, Nigeria. Okay, now, with that introduction, I'd just like my panelists to make some opening remarks, perhaps 7 minutes or so that at least I can get us back on schedule if possible. But it will be useful if panelists will, perhaps share, what steps their different organizations have been taking to address the challenges that we face with the COVID-19 and the change in how we go about doing our work, and of course, their vision on digital transformation in Africa, especially in the higher education and research areas. So I'll ask our first panelists to make some opening remarks, maybe stay within 5-7 minutes, so we buy some time back. So Mrs. Aurélie Adam Soule, Minister of Digital Economy, Benin, it's a pleasure to welcome you.
I'm afraid she's not around.
Okay, so I'll go on quickly. Thank you very much for sharing that. Let me go on quickly to our next panelist, which means maybe you can take a little longer. Mrs. Eleonore Yayi Ladekan, Minister of Higher Education and Scientific Research, Benin. You are welcome. You have the floor, madam. Hello?
Hello.
Yes, ma'am.
Merci beaucoup. Bonjour, monsieur le modérateur. Bonjour à tous les participants. Et je salue très respectueusement madame le professeur Sarah. Je ne savais pas qu'elle était présente. Donc, c'est toujours avec un grand plaisir que je l'écoute. Pour ce qui concerne la digitalisation, la transformation digitale et en ce qui concerne la remarque brève que nous allons faire, je dois dire que j'ai commencé à le dire là tantôt dans mon mot d'ouverture, en ce sens que les défis qu'entraîne la digitalisation ne se limitent pas aux entreprises et aux institutions de haute renommée, mais toutes les organisations doivent chaque jour les relever au risque d'être rapidement dépassées par l'ère du numérique. Et le milieu de l'enseignement supérieur n'échappe pas non plus à cette exigence et doit véritablement se saisir du digital. Cette révolution constitue un moyen de répondre à la multitude d'enjeux auxquels elle est confrontée. Au niveau du Bénin, pendant la pandémie de la COVID, le Bénin a mené beaucoup d'actions à travers non seulement le ministère du numérique et de la digitalisation, et également tous les ministères qui sont dans le secteur social. Et pour ce qui concerne le système éducatif, nous avons eu l'appui du gouvernement pour la continuité pédagogique à travers le développement d'un certain nombre de modules et d'un certain nombre d'actions pour continuer la connexion avec les apprenants et les étudiants. Le ministère du numérique est resté beaucoup proche du secteur de l'éducation, en ce sens que dans le cadre du projet Herbert, pour ce qui concerne l'enseignement supérieur, nous avons eu les actions autour de renforcement de la connectivité de nos centres. Parce qu'une fois que la plateforme est mise à disposition pour les enseignants et les apprenants, le problème qui est intervenu est celui de la connectivité. Les apprenants étaient là, mais ils n'ont pas de smartphone pour pouvoir se connecter. Ils étaient là, mais il n'y a pas la qualité requise pour la connectivité. C'est ce que le projet Herbert a résolu déjà en partie et continue de résoudre. Le gouvernement du Bénin continuera de donner la main par rapport à cela. Donc, la pandémie est devenue une opportunité que nous avons saisie pour avancer dans nos différents projets. Le ministère de l'Enseignement supérieur a également expérimenté beaucoup de plateformes au profit des étudiants. Par exemple, la plateforme d'inscription des étudiants. Une fois qu'ils sont reçus à leur baccalauréat et qu'ils ont besoin d'être dirigés vers les entités, nous avons eu une plateforme d'inscription qui a permis de faire leur classement dans les entités. Et cela les a beaucoup aidés. C'est vrai qu'il y a eu des difficultés. Nous allons revenir sur les différentes questions par rapport à cela. Et quant au domaine de la recherche, ça a été pareil, parce que les soutenances de thèse ont continué d'avoir cours à distance, rien que parce que nous avons développé des modules de conférences à distance. Cela a permis à ceux qui font les recherches de ne pas être bloqués dans leur maison, mais de continuer à présenter les résultats de leurs recherches. Voilà ce que je devrais dire très rapidement, puisque vous m'avez donné que 5 minutes pour dire l'essentiel. Pour conclure, je dirais que pendant cette pandémie, le gouvernement du Bénin n'est pas resté les bras croisés. Le gouvernement a développé des modules de formation, des modules de communication, et les défis qui sont actuellement là sont les défis d'accès, les défis d'accessibilité et les défis de formation quant à l'utilisation donc de ces plateformes. Je vous remercie. Merci.
Oh, thank you very much, Madam. This was very well focused. The point that digitization is not limited to particular sectors or benefits, all is extremely, you might say, concurrent with our thinking, and the importance of getting, you might say, policy authority support so that we can increase connectivity and access and improve our research content is very, very useful to hear from you, Madam. I'd like to move on and invite Professor Suleiman Bogoro to make some few remarks. Prof, you have the floor.
Thank you. Thank you very much for asking me to participate on your platform, WACREN. And, I'm glad to have the opportunity to share with you what we've been doing at TETFund. And I thought you might have also invited some of our policy and regulatory agencies, for instance, the universities, polytechnics, and College of Education, Nigeria. Those are the three tertiary educational entities that we support and fund. But I'm sure that this is a continuous process. They may have the opportunity. For me, I'll be speaking mainly from the perspective of funding priorities in respect of the purpose of the theme of this meeting. And I thought, let me commend you for picking a very important aspect that is relevant and which sadly, overall in Africa, we are lagging behind the rest of the world. Digitalization and using online facilities to communicate and make available information in respect of research and education in Africa. And I'm glad that we have two regions in WACREN, that is the West and Central regions of Africa. Having said that, let me say this, that for us at TETFund, we are working on the priorities of the Federal Ministry of Education and the federal government of Nigeria. I recall that about just before COVID came on, or at the takeoff of COVID, yes, I remember about February, March last year, the Honorable Minister of Education, Mala Adamu, had said he was looking forward to, hopefully within 9 months, tertiary institutions should all migrate to digital learning. It couldn't be otherwise. We just have to be seen to be operating at the same level with the rest of the world. And we never missed that policy statement. And no wonder in the 2020 intervention budget of TETFund, we committed funds, perhaps the highest in recent times, for the purpose of providing ICT facilities to facilitate online and, of course, digital migration of teaching and learning in our tertiary institutions. Well, for TETFund, by the way, we support only public tertiary institutions, and specifically, as our law stipulates, universities, polytechnics, and colleges of education owned by federal and state governments. And the justification remains that that particular focus has been right, because although in Nigeria, for instance, private and public universities are competing almost about equal in numbers, but the student population, the public universities control 94% of student population, It is for that reason that we feel justified that our intervention are in respect of public tertiary institutions. Having said that, I particularly take note of the second part of the theme of this meeting, and that is focusing on the digital transformation for development beyond tertiary subsector. And I think that is appropriate, and I want to commend the organizers for putting it that way. As I would have always said, I repeat it as many times as I could, that in the 21st century, the economy is knowledge economy. And if it is knowledge economy, some things must define it. For me, of all the issues about education, and especially for the tertiary subsector, it is research that is a lifeline and the defining element for knowledge economy. And as I've also put it many times, for too long, our universities in Nigeria had emphasized teaching at the expense of research. And I said that was faulty, and that it should be the other way around. Or at the worst, let them have equal share of attention. But we realize that if you emphasize research, it has capacity to improve learning, teaching rather, and all the skills of pedagogy. But if it is the other way around, emphasizing teaching, we as teachers and professors become lazy because we are not undertaking inquest for innovative outcomes that will solve problems of technology, of economy, of society overall. And so I am very happy to be part of this platform. And I can let you know that, for instance, besides last year that we put money, we also have deliberately proceeded to emphasize to our beneficiary institutions, being the universities, polytechnics, and colleges of education, that they must emphasize there are some funds that we give them and we ask them to use to their discretion to apply those funds. And we're saying you could not continue to provide facilities if the digital infrastructure are inadequate. And units and departments within faculties don't know what the other one is doing the next door. It's unacceptable. We must share knowledge in all ramifications, and particularly in respect of research. We have encouraged them to join platforms, regional platforms, continental platforms, and global platforms on research, because we need to know what is happening the next door. And let me confess that if you compare public and private universities, for instance, in Nigeria, the private universities are a little ahead of the public universities in terms of ICT facilities for online learning and digital learning, as it were. And we are deliberately, therefore, putting a lot of money, as it were, on the, for instance, broadband expansion and all facilities. I mean, in some of the institutions, I mean, things are pretty bad. But let me say this, that increasingly, especially with COVID that came on last year, it was very obvious. It caught virtually all of us napping. But within 6 to 9 months, things have changed so tremendously. And we're having demands from the beneficiary institutions, from the lecturers, from the researchers, in respect of those key facilities that they need to ensure that we are moving to the level of the more competitive technologies and educational institutions across the world. It is our desire that as we share knowledge on this platform, we will identify areas to learn between ourselves. And particularly, I was at the African Union PANVAC last week in Addis Ababa. And it was interesting to know that quality control in terms of vaccines for veterinary vaccines, that the AU PANVAC in the Addis Ababa is one of the very best in the world. If we share information, within Africa, and particularly at sub-regional level. And we are able to know what one has, the other one that does not have, and we can complement each other. With these remarks, I want to thank you once more for the opportunity, and I'll be glad to address more areas that I might not have mentioned up to this point.
Okay. Well, thank you very much. We appreciate funding priorities, and we certainly hope that you will also support our NREN to expand. Yes, and priorities in education, especially the tertiary level, to move online. We think of that as music to our ears. And we also are very pleased with the development aspect that you have also tied in. And most important, your perspective about how important research is to education is also one which is very, very well received. And we hope we'll have time to follow on. But it's good that at least the internet was able to scale so that even though we were caught pants down, we are able to scramble and adjust. Thank you very much for your contribution. I would like to invite Her Excellency Professor Sarah Anyang Agbo, Commissioner HRST African Union, to maybe make a comment.
Thank you very much, Professor Nikwado. Thank you very much, Professor Suleiman, Elias Bogoro. Thank you for speaking on Canvas. I'm very happy you were here last week, because Canvas is a center of excellence and a center to recognize. I want to also thank my sister, Her Excellency Eleanor Yayi Ladekon, for her presentation. And the question you are asking us to speak on, I thought I had already addressed the bulk of it in my keynote speech.
Yes.
And when we speak about digital transformation for development, it involves, we hear the word digital transformation, digitalization, digitization, etc. But if digitalization is a process of leveraging digitization, which is a process of converting information from a physical format to a digital one, then digital transformation is achieved by the process of digitalization. And that is why the African Union adoption in February 2020, during the Head of State Summit of the Digital Transformation Strategy for Africa, becomes very, very important. Now, the question is, how can our education system use digitalization to transform the status quo? We need to go into virtual classes, and going into that virtual classes, we need to adopt what I said at the beginning. You see, when we speak of Agenda 2063, it has 7 interlinked and mutually reinforcing aspirations that set the vision and agenda for Africa development and then more relevant. And it is that vision and aspiration is even more relevant in today. If you speak of aspiration 1, where we are talking about a prosperous Africa based on inclusive growth and sustainable development. Aspiration 2, an integrated continent, politically united and based on the ideas of Pan-Africanism. Or is it aspiration 5, which is an Africa with a strong cultural identity, common heritage, shared values and ethics? Or aspiration 6, an Africa whose development is people-driven, relying on the potential of African people, especially its women and youth, and caring for the children. And today, I want to submit that if we really want employment to reign in this continent, then we need to go into digitalization. We need to give our kids adequate skills in digitalization, because the future is under the digital economy. When I spoke about DOTS, we have a continental education story for Africa that we call CISA 2016 and 2025. And it speaks about providing guidance and enabling all Africans to acquire the requisite knowledge and competencies for the Africa's development. All the speakers today have mentioned that. So what are these things that we need? And every one of us, we are submitting that we need this digital transformation for the development of the Africa we want. When I spoke at the beginning, I spoke about DOTS, that's the DOTSS, which is our the minimum package I presented to the Specialized Technical Committee on Education, Science, and Technology. And for me, this DOTSS offers an integrated approach to transforming Africa's education systems, allowing member states to reach every child to learn, whether in a crisis situation such as COVID-19, or even reaching the most marginalized children with quality and relevant education. The D is for digital and electricity connectivity of all schools in Africa, whether public or private. This becomes very important. And that is why we need to bridge the digital divide and invest in green energy, whether we like it or not. That is why there must be a synergy between the ministries of education, the ministries of finance, and the ministries of infrastructure, and the ministries of telecommunications, so that we can be able to deliver to our children. The O is online learning to complement classroom learning as a continental norm. And the T is for the teacher development as facilitators and motivators of classroom and online learning. Then the S is for safe learning environment in schools, online and offline. And the last S is for skills-focused learning that embraces the 360 degrees holistic approach to skills development, drawing on modular components, including foundational skills in reading and writing, digital skills, 21st century skills such as information literacy, critical thinking, citizenship, and social and emotional learning, such as self-awareness, self-management, self-relationship skills, and responsible decision-making, entrepreneurial skills, and job-specific skills. That is why I believe that when you said digital transformation for development is for me, is very, very important. And I believe that if we work towards this vision, adopting it, we will be able to create impacts on the Africa we want. And, you know, if this DTSS, which is to have an integrated and inclusive digital society and economy in Africa, if we adopt it and implement it, walk the talk, not just rhetorics, not just talking about it. If we work about it, it will improve the quality of life of African citizens, strengthen the existing economic sector, and enable its diversification and development. And it will ensure continental ownership, as I said earlier, where Africa becomes a producer and not only a consumer in the global economy. So your theme, digital transformation for development, is linked to Agenda 2063, its aspirations and its goal, and is very, very pertinent and topical at this moment.
Thank you very much. It's good that you have realigned us to policy authority through the visions captured in Agenda 2063, and also pointing out to us the potential of human capital that we could harness from within the women and the children, the youth, in particular, in addressing our development objectives. Yeah. Now, I'd like to, so thank you very much for the contribution. I think we may have chance for one more, interaction before the curtain shuts off. So I'd like to ask a question to all of you. How come that Africa, in the digitization, adoption of technology, we seem to lag behind from time to time? We saw a lag in the adoption of the internet. We are seeing the lag in adoption of some of the newer technologies that will help us in our education, in our research. We are seeing a lag in adoption of new forms of identity. We are seeing a lag in adoption of new forms of money. We are seeing a lag in adoption of new intelligences. What must Africa do for us to be abreast with our counterparts everywhere? And I'd like to start on this issue with Professor Suleiman Bogoro, and then I'll go to our colleague, minister from Benin, and then I'll finally come to our Excellency. So, Professor, you have the floor. Just take like 3 minutes so that we can live within time, if you can.
Thank you very much, and I'm glad to again make some contribution in respect of the issue you just raised. No doubt about it. Africa has essentially become the laggard in almost all spheres of competition across the world. We know this. Virtually all the negative indices of development are associated with Africa. And we know this as a matter of fact, but it's also a reality that it is not as if we lack individual capacities. Besides what we are seeing as our laggardness in ICT deployment, online deployment, adoption of ICT, digitization, we notice that this has become almost a defining feature for Africa. And for me, I know we're looking at the beneficiary institutions that we support in Nigeria. It tells you very clearly, and looking at the larger picture, not just of policies, but in my opinion, squarely the problem has to do with style and quality of leadership, level of commitment. And I've just realized that for most of the time, we in the ivory towers will blame the political leadership almost exclusively. We are not looking at our own issues and problems that are contributing to the laggardness. I've jokingly said that when we started a capacity building training for enhancing grant writing skills for lecturers in our universities, polytechnics, and College of Education, we discovered pitiful level of capacity. But also we noticed complacency as a major problem. But added to that is corrupt practices and attempted politicization of the tertiary institutions at the highest level of the headship of the institutions to faculty departmental level, that when you have an aggregate of 3-4 professors chatting idly during the day, it could be in the club, it can be in an office, the issues are not academic. The issues are who is the next likely to be the next vice chancellor, who is likely to be the next dean of faculty, head of department. They are not looking at, do we have electron microscope in social department that they need them? Do we have the capacity of personnel that can manage some of the best of equipment that we need to enhance research? So these are some of the problems. So attitudinally, I think we're getting it wrong. We cannot continue to blame only the political leadership. We must mirror some of these problems around ourselves. And I believe that if we are able to do that, my attitude has been this, that for me at TETFund, I was executive secretary between 2014 to 2016. I was disengaged, recall, from 2 years ago. And I have maintained one thing, that I am committed to making a difference in my cell, in my office, and for my organization. If we get that attitude right, collectively, our countries, our regions, and indeed Africa would be the better for it. That is my attitude.
Thank you very much. I think I would like to invite Madam Eleonore Yayi Ladekan to weigh in on the subjects being discussed. Please, you have the floor.
Oui, voilà, le sujet est très important. Le sujet est vraiment important. Pour ce qui nous concerne au Bénin, nous n'avons pas une grande expérience en matière de cours à distance avant, parce que les cours se font toujours en présentiel. Et donc, nous n'avons pas une expérience où on a mis à la disposition des apprenants les terminaux. Mais la COVID-19 nous a révélé ce besoin, puisque en mettant à la disposition des apprenants la plateforme de e-learning, on a créé des conditions. Sur certains campus, il y a la possibilité de se connecter. Mais tous les apprenants n'ont pas pu se connecter, puisque la COVID les a mis en quarantaine dans leur maison. Alors, ils ne sont pas dans les mêmes espaces géographiques. Cela a ramené le problème donc, de la connectivité de ces milieux dans lesquels vivent nos étudiants. Et c'est ce problème que nous avons pris à cœur et nous avons donc rédigé une note conceptuelle que l'AUF, nous félicitons, nous remercions l'AUF, nous sommes en partenariat avec l'AUF. L'AUF est en train de nous aider à donc étudier les postes d'exclusion que ce mode, cet outil d'enseignement à distance a donc généré. Et donc, après l'étude dans 2 mois, nous allons évidemment avoir une grappe de propositions à faire au gouvernement et aux partenaires, à savoir les terminaux, les smartphones, les ordi. Il y a un projet pour mettre à disposition des apprenants à coût réduit, évidemment, pour voir comment on peut aider les apprenants à s'en procurer. Il y a ce projet que nous sommes en train déjà de mûrir et qui va connaître son aboutissement. Il y a également que dans les campus numériques, il y a des espaces où nous allons équiper donc, ces espaces-là en quelques ordinateurs pour permettre à ceux qui ont des difficultés de connexion de pouvoir venir sur les campus et de prendre leur cours. Donc, ce programme également est bien accéléré et nous espérons que d'ici là, nous allons pouvoir finir. Mais il est effectivement important de penser à cela. Il n'y a pas autre chose. Ce que nous avons constaté, c'est que pour suivre leur enseignement, les étudiants se mettent ensemble. Si quelqu'un a son smartphone, alors lui, il crée sa classe et il mobilise toute une foule autour de lui. Et là, ça nous met encore en difficulté parce que cette façon de faire pourrait encore générer la propagation donc, du virus. C'est pour cela que nous avons dû arrêter. Et pour le moment, nous avons arrêté, nous avons ramené les cours en présentiel et en le faisant de façon distancielle, c'est-à-dire mettant en place les distanciations. Et nous allons, maintenant, le gouvernement a pris donc la décision de revoir à la hausse les heures supplémentaires donc, qui sont générées, puisque chaque enseignant va devoir multiplier son groupe pédagogique un certain nombre de fois. On a fait le point des heures supplémentaires et le gouvernement va payer ces heures supplémentaires pour cette année, le temps que l'année prochaine, nous puissions encore mettre en place un certain nombre d'outils assez importants pour permettre cette fluidité de communication. Voilà ce que je pourrais dire pour ce qui concerne les difficultés, les programmes par rapport aux étudiants. Merci.
Thank you very much. I think in the interest of time, I also like to invite Professor Sarah Anyang Agbo to make some comments. Please, madam. You have the floor.
Thank you very much, Professor Kwano. How come Africa is lagging behind? How come? Where the political will does not have the vision of sustainable development, there can be no change. The political will must drive the vision of sustainable development. Digital transformation is not possible without the appropriate infrastructure and equipment. Because when we say that digital infrastructure facilitates the development, provisioning, use, and sharing of digital systems like products and services, these include telecommunications fixed and wireless postal infrastructure, digital terrestrial broadcasting, data centers, telecenters, digital and smart services devices, to name a few. Then digital infrastructure is with enabling environment, policy and regulation, skills and human capacity, digital innovation and entrepreneurship. These are the 4 foundation pillars that will ensure a successful implementation of digital transformation. Now, affordable, like the minister have just spoken, Her Excellency Eleno, the students don't have affordable, accessible, and reliable infrastructure. Therefore, we need affordable, accessible, and reliable infrastructure as the foundation to achieve an inclusive digital transformation. So to harness benefits or dividends from the digital transformation, abundant low-cost connectivity is essential, as it is widely understood that broadband drives productivity, innovation, and growth. To this end, the following, among others, are required: promotion of national, regional, and intercontinental interconnectivity and infrastructure sharing as well, boosting of investment in telecom infrastructure at national, regional level to an interconnected continent, and develop financial instruments through partnerships between investors, governments, financial institutions, and international partners. And then the promotion of a favorable regulatory environment for competitive and harmonized regional and continental connectivity markets, and measures that increase affordability of broadband and technology devices and services. Way forward again is that we need investment in green ICT. We need to strengthen ICT and postal policies reforms. And then we need to coordinate efforts to migrate to digital terrestrial broadcasting and harmonize use of the digital dividend at regional and continental level. We need to support learning opportunities and also improve and create environment for mentorship among the youngsters and the mentors at large. This is the only way that we can move digital transformation in Africa. And these other factors I've mentioned are the reason why we are lagging behind. So for me, the first and most important thing is that the political will should drive digital transformation in their various member states. And in driving this, the various ministries that have to do this job need to be given the right kind of financing and investment, and the right kind of technical people should come on board to drive this vision. And then we can talk about digital transformation for the Africa we want. Thank you, sir.
Oh, thank you very much. I promise you to be very high level. You can see policy, very involving. I'm going to try and wind down in the interest of getting time, but I'll make the following comments in congratulating my panelists. There are some clear messages. I'm saying that we really must believe in what we are trying to do. We have to have commitment. We have to have determination, in a way, have faith in the importance of digitization for development. Now, I do also hear clearly that development depends on having a will, a community will, a political will. And that should be the way to drive the development agenda in a sustainable way. And I find that as a very strong message. I also get a message that it's extremely important to be responding to needs. We need to respond to needs that we have, because that is what will cause development. And it may include a community trust, community help, and self-help programs like were narrated. Now, lastly, I like to position the thoughts the following way. We have to resolve as a community to lead in the digitization for development. And we all have to then find our place within that aspiration to make the development occur. Well, with that, I'd like to thank you very much. The answers are here. We have to now take them in and see how we can apply them to change our situation. And we will therefore call to a close the discussion, remembering that digitization for development is essential. Thank you very much.
And thank you to Prof. Nikwe.
For more than 10 years now, WACREN has supported the advancement of research and education in West and Central
Merci
Africa.
beaucoup.
We serve our community with three
Merci.
key areas: connectivity, advanced digital services, and developing human capital. Through affordable, high-speed connectivity, researchers, staff, and students can collaborate with their colleagues within the region and beyond. Our video conferencing tool has come in handy in the COVID-19 pandemic period to support academic continuity. The tool is connecting thousands of students with their lecturers and academic supervisors and keeping administrative work going through online meetings. With EduRoam, learning is exciting. Through this authentication service, students can securely connect to available Wi-Fi when they visit other institutions across the world. EduID allows students and researchers to log into and access web-based services anywhere in Africa by using their home institution credentials. No need for re-registration or request for permission. National NRENs and their member institutions can access WACREN security and hosting services. Our modern infrastructure and capacity ensure that subscribers get the best of both services at affordable rates with high reliability. Network Operations Center as a Service, NOCAS, is designed for national NRENs and R&E organizations looking for constant and effective monitoring and maintenance of their networks. WACREN has publicly scheduled and on-demand capacity building sessions for the brains and hands that handle the national and campus networks in the region. Over the years, users and beneficiaries of our network, services and capacity sessions have created value for their communities and by extension, the society. WACREN has been able to serve its community thanks to the European Union's support under the Africa Connect Phase project. The journey of unearthing potentials and creating opportunity for real socio-economic value continues.
All right, thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, for staying to the end. We just want to announce to you that the next panel discussion happens tomorrow. There's the Open Science and Open Access discussion at 0900 UTC. But today at 12 UTC, we'll all be on Wanda for the virtual poster session where researchers who have sent their papers to the conference will be presenting at this time in turns on Wanda. So we'll put the Wanda link in the chat, right? So Wanda is a virtual platform, just like we'll have a physical conference where people can move from one place to the other. And Wanda is a virtual equivalent of that. So you can just click the link and go to Wanda. The password is WACREN 2021. This is very easy to use. So just go there. I'm also posting the how you can explore Wanda for the conference. All right, so we hope to see every one of you with the poster presenters and authors on Wanda. Thank you very much. We're happy to have you and hope to see you again tomorrow. Remember, WACREN Secretariat will also be on Wanda. So if you have any question to ask, if you have any inquiries to make, please feel free, join us on Wanda and let's help you. Thank you and have a great day.
Thank you and congratulations. Congratulations to all. Good, excellent opening.
Thank you. Thank you all.
Always.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.